Hey guys, in this episode, I'm going to talk about some ideas from Taleb and Peter Thiel. I think that there's a good way that you can put some of their ideas together to help yourself personally achieve goals that you didn't quite understand how to achieve. I also think we can use Taleb and Thiel's advice to move society forward. So take a listen to this. It's good shit. I think it's a great roadmap. Let's see what we can do with it. So remember, you can check out my website, tstuch.com, tstuch.com. You can follow me on Twitter, tstuch1. You can follow me on Periscope, tstuch1. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Taylor Space Stuch. Thank you. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone. We are back. We are live. We are live from Taylor Studios in New York. And it is not Saturday night, baby. And it is not New York. So what is going on, fellows? Señores y señoras. Today, let's discuss some strategies. Maybe not some strategies. Let's discuss some perspectives. So, Nassim Taleb, somebody whose philosophies I am enthralled with, and Peter Thiel. Let's talk about those two. Peter Thiel, I'm getting big into his book called 0 to 1. I think it is a must read for anybody who is thinking about starting their own business. You've got to read it. What's in the book that makes it so valuable? Peter Thiel talks about mostly how to build extraordinary businesses. Now, in his book, 0 to 1, I almost felt a little bit shameful, I must admit. And you might be wondering, Taylor, why on earth would you feel shameful after or while you're reading Peter Thiel's book? And I can tell you why. It's because he discusses, I've talked about this already, I believe, he discusses the idea of kind of stagnation when it comes to tech innovation, but also what he talks about is he talks about in order to maybe build a very successful company or for the US to innovate itself out of what he views as stagnation, he thinks that people need to have more of a vision. We need to have a vision of what we want so we know what to look for to make those kinds of things happen and make our future a reality. And while listening to him, I kept thinking, So he talked about how we live in an age of indefinite optimism. And this made me feel a little bit guilty because he describes indefinite optimism as being positive about the future, but having no vision of the future, not having a goal of things that you would like to happen, just kind of blindly being like, yeah, I'd like for this to happen, or I'd like to be successful. What Thiel says is that it's like a feedback loop, because if people are not geared towards making a future, then what we do is we work to hedge our bets against possible negatives. So instead of saying, well, I want to build a rocket, or I want to build a new network to connect people, or I want to build a new product that will change transportation, instead we build up ourselves in ways that make sure that we can just continue working. Maybe continue getting a job or starting small businesses in existing fields, which means we constantly build up skills in existing areas to hedge against downside. And I remember reading this or listening to him say this on it, or listening to his audiobook, and thinking to myself, well, this is kind of what I do, and what's kind of what I'm doing. Now, I am experimenting with different ideas and different business ideas and different formats to create. That's fascinating to me. That being said, I am kind of also building myself up in a way that is kind of hedging my bets. Oh, excuse me, guys, I'm tired. And so I thought to myself, am I doing something wrong? Is this not the way I should be going about my life? Am I missing something here? Because I thought, well, Nassim Taleb, one of his philosophies, or part of Nassim Taleb's philosophies, this isn't a complete thing, but a big theme it's about freedom. And one of the things is about freedom. And one reason why that's so prevalent is because it's a lot about making decisions under uncertainty and things like that. And in order to really be able to make decisions, it's kind of like what you're aiming for is freedom. That's kind of like the goal of setting up these different decisions. And I thought about it for a little while, and I thought, why, am I just being selfish? Do I lack vision? And I thought, okay, if I could break it down for anybody, here's what I would say. I would say read Nassim Taleb to realize your freedom. Read Peter Thiel to create $1 billion company. And not even that specific, but I would say if you read Nassim Taleb, you will learn the benefits of entrepreneurship to society. You will learn strategies. You'll learn, I think I could put it this way, you'll learn strategies on how to help make decisions. Because, reading a book about decision making doesn't make the decisions for you, but it helps you understand your environment to help you make decisions. Especially because in our current world, we're fighting against a lot of brainwashing. A lot of the things in our world, what we grow up with in school, what we see on TV, even what we get from our parents sometimes, is just not accurate representations of the way things operate. And so Taleb, I've grown up around family members who have no problem, always being in debt for a car or always, using credit cards, stuff like that. And some people would just say, look, that's just a way of life. It's just how it goes. And then someone like Nassim Taleb is like, look, whatever you do, limit your downside, maximize your upside. And you might think, oh, well, that seems kind of not very specific. And it's like, well, it's not. But you can limit your downside in a lot of ways. And when you start to look at your life and you start to see how you over leverage yourself with debt and obligations, you can start to see how you're not a free person and how it contributes to your inability to make decisions, right? The more obligations you have, the more financially leveraged you are, the less you can handle small changes in the environment, the less you can handle small changes in your financial status or your health or your family's health status. And so when you start to look at it that way, you start to realize, okay, you can take specific steps to help guard you against certain financial hardships, like whether it be insurance, having savings, decreasing your liabilities, like maybe moving into a smaller place. Like you start to realize that you can orient your life in a manner that can decrease your exposure to negative events. And then from there, though, you have to figure out where are you going to get the positive shit from. So what I would say is, one thing that I love listening to Taleb is that with the less exposure you have on the downside, it just opens you up to more freedom. Now, the tricky part is what you do with that freedom. Because here's the thing. If you don't have a lot of debt and you have savings, then, that's fantastic. That's awesome for you. The question is, what do you want to do with that? Do you want to invest it in a business? Do you want to invest it in the stock market? Do you want to just continue to save it for a rainy day and then just kind of enjoy your life, enjoy your family? These are all things that you can decide to do. But you can't really decide to do those things when you're under the gun, when you're under too much pressure, financial pressure. And that's one reason why I love Nassim Taleb's books, is because it kind of helps you break free of, okay, what I need to do, if I really want to be able to make up my own life decisions, I need to decrease my potential downside. So I need to increase my savings, decrease my debt. That'll help right off the bat. Now, Peter Thiel is some next level shit in a different direction. So let's pause for some sponsors. I'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Do you want to record your own podcast like me? Well, Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. That's right, mofos. It's easy. Check it out. So, what do I have to say about Thiel? In his book, Thiel, Zero to One, Thiel gives some extremely awesome notes, awesome details about startups. How startups can get going, how startups run, things that big startups get wrong, things that they get right. And one thing that he describes a lot is having vision and being able to think critically. And for Thiel, one of the biggest things that holds people back from making companies, or what holds the economy back in general, is that we don't know how to think. And also that, like when I talked about earlier, Thiel talks about how we are indefinitely optimistic, how we are, no one's thinking or creating a vision about the future. Everyone's just kind of hedging their bets and kind of playing off probability. And running things against different options. And I have to admit, I've done similar things. I'm kind of in a mindset of that, and this is probably not a good one. I have been in kind of a mindset that if I try enough ideas, something will work, but I'm not always very committed to those ideas. And at the same time, I wonder, is my idea of having the freedom to make my decisions impeding on making the actual decisions? And that's why I was like, well, am I doing this wrong? This whole thing about taking Nassim Taleb's advice about trying to get free. Now, Taleb doesn't explicitly say, you need to do this to get free. But if you read a lot of his books, a lot of his works, they center around, he makes lots of comments about people. Basically, when you're not free, you can't act on your convictions. That's a big theme with him. And how having a purpose in life, having a purposeful life, there's a lot of times in life where if you can't do what you feel like you need to do, it takes away your dignity as a person. And so I've been chasing that more. And I would say that it is that is like a critical first step in today's society. In today's society, with everybody so debt-laden and with having so many financial burdens, I would say that before following Thiel's advice, I would say it would probably be helpful to follow Taleb's advice. I would say Taleb then Thiel, because Taleb is going to lay out, hey, this is some important shit. If you want to live a fulfilling life, regardless if you make money or not, you need to be free, so you can have agency over your own decisions. And then once there, then you follow Thiel's advice about how to build a billion-dollar company, about how to be successful. So with Thiel's talk about vision, I've decided, what vision do I want to see? Now, I've kind of borrowed a bit of a vision, but it helps, in my opinion. So I have thought about, okay, my only vision is that people are free. I want a United States that is more free. If I have a vision, it's a vision of a United States that has less central government control. The government is not destroying the money supply. People are free to, I have a vision where people owe less money in debts, where people are able to make money in many different creative ways, and people can create businesses, companies, when, more easily than they can today. See, I don't have a particular vision myself, like as in I want to take society in this particular direction. But what I do want to see is I want to see more freedom. So that's the direction I want to see society go in. Whatever technological feats that we can have that will help us move in that direction, that's the future that I would like to see. I would love to see a future where people move out of the biggest cities, New York and San Francisco, and even my city, Houston and Dallas, and can start to populate smaller areas and bring those areas back to life and be connected on the internet. And we can build a more robust economic and financial system that employs everyone, that has real growth, not fake financial growth through the money supply and interest rate manipulation. That's what I want to see. But I think for us to get there first, I think before we see the next stage of innovation, which I could be totally wrong because I hear Web 3.0 is on the way. But before we get to the next stage of innovation, maybe it's critical that first we become free enough to allow that innovation to happen. So that's just what I was thinking, is if we can take Thiel's advice, then I think it is critical that we have a vision, that each one of us creates a vision. But it's hard to have a vision when you're just struggling to get by. So first we have to survive. Once we survive, we can thrive. And even Taleb has pointed out in Skin in the Game, and Warren Buffett pointed out that in order to trade or in order to make money, you must first survive. Taleb makes the argument that in order to do science, you must first survive. So in order to see these visions that we have of the future for technology, we first have to make our systems more robust and less fragile, and then we can go from there. That's what I think. That's what I'm learning, constantly studying. And so this is the future I'd like. What future do you want to see? You can email me at tayradio1@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter, tstuch1. Follow me on my website, tstuch.com, tstuch.com. Yeah, thank you for listening.